The term carbon pricing is becoming well known around the world. You may have heard it. More countries and businesses are saying they're going to put a price on carbon. But what exactly does that mean, and how will it affect our daily lives? The disasters we're seeing more of around the world, like wildfires, droughts, famines, floods, and rising sea levels, those are being caused or made worse by climate change. But what is causing the climate to change? Us, humans, spewing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and other greenhouse gases like methane. But carbon is usually used as the catch-all term. And all of these disasters are already costing countries millions, even billions of dollars, and will cost even more as they get worse in the future. So governments are looking for ways to try to reduce emissions, to stop these disasters, or at least make them less severe. Enter carbon pricing. The concept of carbon pricing is pretty simple. In our capitalist economy, if releasing carbon dioxide is free, people and companies have no reason not to do it. But it's actually not free. It's already costing us billions of dollars to deal with the catastrophic effects of those carbon emissions. But right now, that money, these costs are not being priced in by the people producing the emissions or the people consuming the energy. Those costs will be borne by people in the future, and there will be more disasters. So carbon pricing just includes these costs. You say this fossil fuel, coal, oil, or gas, will soon be burned, and that will produce a ton of carbon. And that ton of carbon is going to cost $50 to deal with in the future. So we're going to make this thing cost $50 extra today. It's easy to implement and easy to regulate, and increases the cost of fossil fuels. Almost 50 countries already use carbon pricing mechanisms, with more planning to implement them in the future. Together, the carbon pricing schemes now in place cover about 25% of annual global greenhouse gas emissions.
全球净零排放的压力之下，大家都去寻求它可以得到减碳的一个方式，看看它的效益，所以自然而然它们就水涨船高。
With a goal of reaching net zero emissions by 2050, Taiwan is also looking to put a price on carbon. The new climate change agency says it will implement a carbon fee by the end of the year. But there has been much back and forth about how much the fee should be. In Europe, carbon now costs over $100 per ton to emit, the highest price in the world. Taiwan has been discussing pricing it at $300 to $500 new Taiwan dollars, or around $10 to $16 per ton. And Taiwan also says it will implement a carbon exchange system or market. It would allow companies that emit less carbon to trade credits with those that emit more. That's expected to be up and running by the middle of this year. Local activists are pushing for the carbon fee to be named a carbon tax. It's a key distinction. Under Taiwan's law, this would allow the money to be reinvested into decarbonizing the economy, which would benefit the public.
比如说收获了这个钱之后，可以挹注在民生的减碳工作。 又或者是这些产业界的减碳需要一些研发的能力的时候，这个费用都可以做一些使用。
But the word tax is tricky to sell politically. Say tax and you lose supporters. Most people don't like it when governments tell them their prices are going up. The good news is only major emitters would have to pay Taiwan's carbon fee. So ordinary people shouldn't feel the effects. At least that's what the government says. Still, some are critical of the plans, saying making carbon a commodity may muddy the goal of actually reducing emissions.
反而会有点忧心，这样可能会让厂商觉得说，如果遇到问题，我是不是买一买碳权哦，买碳权回来哦，就可以简单花钱了事。
Another option is encouraging large emitters not to release carbon in the first place. Environmentalists say it can be done by making savings from emissions reductions greater than the costs of paying to emit.
那这样子，企业愿意在制造过程当中减少这个碳的排放，才会是我们收碳费的最大原因跟目的。
The jury is still out on whether Taiwan's carbon fee will really make a dent in the country's high emission levels. But one thing's for certain, as global supply chains race to net zero, Taiwan is facing increasing pressure to play the carbon pricing game. Patrick Chen and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.